The paint is cracked and chipped. The lawn is overgrown and full of mud puddles. Inside there's a faint smell of urine, and dogs barking near the room. This is what an animal shelter is like. Multiply that by 100 and you get a puppy mill. Puppy mills mass-produce dogs for profit. On January 3rd, 105 sick and malnourished dogs were rescued from a puppy mill in Charlotte, North Carolina. This was run by breeder Patricia Yates. It took a total of 20 people to rescue all of the animals. Yates was not a permitted breeder, but that didn't stop her from selling to local pet stores. The animals were kept in terrible conditions. The puppies were found in the basement, which was dark and smelled awful. They trembled in their tiny cages, which had been manufactured so the dogs didn't even have to be taken outside to use the restroom. The puppies were found with matted hair, overgrown claws, and in desperate need of a bath. The dogs used to breed were kept in a separate, homemade brick room with the same dark, dirty, and disgusting conditions. The female dogs were impregnated as often as possible, with no recovery time in between pregnancies until they could no longer reproduce. When they can no longer provide puppies, they are killed. Yates even claimed that these dogs were her life and that she loved them. But how could you possibly treat something you love so terribly? For many puppies in pet stores, this is the reality they're bred into. So take the time to research where that cute puppy at the pet store is really from, because it's likely from these devastating conditions known as a puppy mill. Not only do puppy mills treat dogs poorly, but they cause shelter dogs to go without a home. 6 to 8 million dogs are sheltered each year. That's more than 18,000 a day. Only half of them will be adopted, and the others will be euthanized. In the United States of America, there are more than 10,000 puppy mills where 2 million dogs are bred into inhumane conditions every year. Less than 30% of these puppy mills are regulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. A large factor of dogs' behavior and health has to do with its living conditions early on. If a puppy is bred into a loving home and is taken care of, it will be healthy and happy. But if it is bred into filth and darkness, it will be sick and fearful. Shelter dogs are typically better behaved than dogs from puppy mills, and shelter animals cost less. Dogs from puppy mills tend to have many behavioral issues due to their surroundings, which include fear, trembling, shyness, aggression, anxiety, food aggression, hoarding, bad sleep patterns. They're harder to house train because of the crates designed so they don't have to be moved to use the restroom and can go wherever they want. And they tend to be light sensitive because they're bred into darkness and don't see light from the beginning of their life. So you may be thinking, shouldn't I help these animals? Shouldn't we remove them from these conditions by adopting them? The answer is no, for 2 reasons. One, if you don't adopt from a puppy mill and adopt from a shelter instead, that opens up more room for dogs to be brought into the shelter. Also, there are rescue groups going out to puppy mills and getting those dogs, bringing them in to the shelters to make sure they're taken care of. And then rescues like Golden Retriever Rescue and Poodle Rescues will come in, take the dogs that fit their description, and bring them out so that even more dogs can be brought in. But if you adopt from a puppy mill, that cuts off right then and there. You don't make more room for dogs to come in, and the puppy mills continue producing and gaining from what you've done. If you adopt from a puppy mill, the puppy mills are going to continue to exist. However, if we try to stop it by adopting from shelters and letting the rescuers do their work, the puppy mills will be shut down much faster. Imagine that there are 100 spots in a shelter, and 75 are filled, and then 50 dogs are brought in from a puppy mill. But how do we decide what the other 25 are going to do? Who's going to be euthanized, and what's going to happen? Well, say that people have been adopting from the shelter, and 50 spots are taken and 50 dogs come in, then you have just enough room. And as dogs continue to be adopted, then there will still be room when more dogs come in. In summary, adopting pets from shelters will help the animals not only in the shelters, but also those in the puppy mills. By adopting from shelters, it allows the rescue groups to come in and bring dogs from puppy mills to be taken care of. So, rather than adopting from the pet store, where you're not entirely sure of where these puppies are coming from, adopt from a shelter where you can get a great dog for a great